This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program created for and featuring teens, edited and hosted by the teen library staff.
This episode is part of Glendale Library Arts and Cultures and the Southern California Library Cooperative's Be the Change series, which focuses on inclusion, diversity, equity, and antiracism. Be the Change events will build collective understanding of systematic racism, elevate the voices and stories of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and inspire our community to be the change.
As part of Native American Heritage Month in early November, Glendale Library Arts and Culture will host various programs. On November 30th at 6:30 p.m., author David Heska Wyden will discuss his new novel, Winter Counts. Register for the event at www.glac.info/BeTheChange.
Hi everyone, it's Melissa.
And Desiree.
Welcome to our guest episode at Teen G.E.N Talks.
Today we have two special guests from Native Hope, whose mission is to address the injustice done to Native Americans and dismantle barriers through storytelling and impactful programs to bring healing and inspire hope. Jennifer Long is the Executive Director of Native Hope and an enrolled member of the Lower Brule Sioux tribe. Trisha Burke is the Editorial Director and has been with Native Hope for 5 years now. She continues to believe in its mission to empower young Native Americans to be the best version of themselves.
Grab a snack and drink, and let's welcome Jennifer Long and Trisha Burke from Native Hope to Teen G.E.N Talks.
Yay!
Native Hope exists to raise awareness on the injustices done to Native Americans.
And we do this primarily through storytelling. We want to promote the positive stories, the good things that are going on in Indian country, those heroes within communities and nations. Also, we work really hard to dismantle the barriers for those storytellers and those people in their communities.
By doing that, we feel that not only inspires hope, but also brings healing.
Definitely.
To Indian country.
Yeah.
Prior to coming to Native Hope, I worked in the marketing department at St. Joseph's Indian School. And when Native Hope was just starting out, there was a need to help assist with some marketing campaigns. And that's kind of where it started. And then the position became available for executive director, and I just felt the timing was right, and I was really passionate about Native Hope and the mission, so I decided to go for it, and that's kind of how I came over to Native Hope.
As an educator, I worked with many, many students, and in our small town of 2,400, we have about a 50% Native population in the schools. And as a theater director also, I worked with a lot of pretty quirky kids, and I got all these really smart, intelligent young people. And many of them were Native American and bright, fun. And what I was seeing was after they graduated from high school, they were certainly struggling to be all that they could be. And so Native Hope was being formed as this positive storytelling, and I had just gotten some more education in writing, and I thought, well, maybe what I could do best is be more of an advocate on a bigger stage in order to help these kids find their way. So here I am.
Well, I think what it means for me, it's more personal for me being Native American, and growing up, we lived on or near many different reservations because my father's job with Indian Health Service. And I just saw that there was, such a need, even just for the basics, and such beautiful people, beautiful culture, and Native Hope, I feel like, is able to give Native Americans a larger stage to be able to show that beautiful culture and their lives and bring awareness to the first people. And I just want to be able to help as much as possible. But that's kind of what Native Hope means for me. It's more of a personal kind of journey for me.
Mm-hmm. I agree that it's very personal. because of what I said about how I arrived here. It is a beautiful culture, and I think sadly, because of historical trauma, because of the intentional genocide of a people, so many misconceptions. And so the misconceptions are the things that I want to dispel as a writer and an educator. I will always be an educator. So that's what it means to me.
What a typical day looks like is coming in, greeting the team, checking emails. And one thing that I enjoy about Native Hope, and I mean, we are a small team. Not only do I have to worry about the business aspects, but I get to be a part of the hands-on, the programs, getting to pack the food that we provide, cleaning supplies, getting ready for our holiday efforts. And so typical day is just busy and dealing with every aspect of social media, our website, responding to donors. I feel like I'm fortunate because I kind of get to do it all. Typical day is busy, but I enjoy it.
Sure. When I started at Native Hope, I reached out to a former student who's now in her 40s. So I reached out and just asked her some questions. And I said, what can we do? And I was very enthusiastic. And, one of the things she said is, first, you need to understand the communities. And that was a learning curve for me. Even though I've lived here my whole life, I needed to know more. And what I learned is that exactly what she told me, which was, Trisha, a lot of these families are just working every day for their foundational needs. And she said, you can't build a house before you have a foundation. And I've heard that before, but it really was clear to me. They're working for meals every day, maybe transportation. How do I get to a job if I don't have insurance? The poverty rates here are low. South Dakota has some of the highest poverty rates in the nation, and those mostly fall within our reservations. At least 4 of the counties are in the top 20 poorest counties in the nation, and those all include reservations, including 2 that are just 20 miles from us.
So as we started having conversations with program directors, tribal leaders, we realized that there was need for just the basics and helping to provide some relief when it comes to food, cleaning supplies, baby bundles, just the basics. And so that's kind of how our back to basics came around.
And I think it's important to know, when Jen talked about working with these program directors, is that we've just really wanted to be a support system and to be available. And so that's the way this really has evolved, and it's been quite successful. That they reach out to us for the needs. We're not just forcing this upon them.
Right.
So
they know what's best for their people. We respect the tribal sovereignty, and wherever we can assist, that's where Native Hope comes in.
Well, my responsibilities vary greatly, and that's because we are a small team. So even that title has evolved several times since coming to work at Native Hope. I think right now, especially during COVID, my responsibilities have shifted to doing a lot more outreach and creating and maintaining positive connections with those we serve, and also the people with whom we're working, the tribal leaders and or our fellows. So I'm really striving to do that, along with adding in my passion of writing and helping edit where I can, edit material and keeping on top of social media things as much as I'm able to. But truly, all of us in our office wear several hats. And so I can't quite define that, but I can tell you that I'm just busy working to hopefully support quality on all aspects. Sure. Native Hope's first initiative was the storytelling. and the positive storytelling. And we really came upon this storytelling heals with our staff over the years. It's really important for people to think about that once you get that story out, it begins to have a healing process within. And we really found that to be true in terms of our people with whom we've interviewed. And so storytelling heals for us is a mainstay. It's just very foundational. And we try to do that as much as we possibly can. We've expanded to add a fellows program. And the fellows program has also been phenomenal because it's been a way for us to support people within their communities who already have an initiative, who already have a dream, but actually just need some more financial support. So that fellowship has been instrumental for several of our fellows, and it continues to be. Of course, COVID is kind of interrupting their initiatives, but we are striving to keep in contact and support them and find ways for them to work with that. And a lot of them work with youth themselves. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of blends over to our
youth and community outreach. And again, kind of where that came from was respecting tribal sovereignty, working with the program directors, working with the tribal leaders. We know that there is, unfortunately, lack of government funding. And so when it comes to, for example, youth, the Lower Brule Invent team, mm-hmm. they reached out to Native Hope because they needed some funding to be able to attend a conference for their
Washington, D.C. invention.
Yes, and their invention was an
outdoor Bluetooth speaker at the basketball courts.
And so, I mean, it was such a great thing that they created. And they have this great opportunity in front of them, but where does the funding come from? Mm-hmm. So that's where we felt, okay, this is Native Hope can help with these kind of initiatives. Again, community outreach, that includes our Back to Basics. And even this, time of the holidays, sometimes it's hard to get items.
The Lower Brule Head Start reached out this year because they don't have any funding for their Christmas gifts that they normally give to kids. So that's one. Yeah. We have a baseball field that we've been helping to build. And that didn't come because we wanted to build a baseball field, but community members reached out to us. Yeah. So again, we're trying to support the youth through their communities. And hopefully someday we can have our own youth group again. Mm-hmm. It's just been impossible to start with COVID. Yeah. Well, I think we'd like to see this grow, and right now we've done a nice job of serving our local reservations within South Dakota, but we'd like to expand. There are 9 reservations within our region in the Ashatechacoin, and we really would like to help with those, serve the Lakota and the Dakota people. And for me, I would like to make sure I have a story from each of those reservations and beyond. I'd love to be telling the stories of at least 574 federally recognized tribes. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and then if we can even just take Native Hope to a national level to be able to serve the other regions.
Every day.
Well, I think it's important to first become educated, learn the untold stories. I mean, what we were taught in school is unfortunately not accurate. So I would say that would probably be step one. And then look in your area of different Native American nonprofits and what they're doing to serve Native Americans in those areas. And as allies, I think that's probably where I'd start.
Yeah, and I think we get questions every day about, what do you know about this tribe or this tribe? And honestly, we would give you the advice is just you need to reach out, you need to do some research, because there are tribes in, every community almost. You're going to find that there's some Native American heritage. So really understanding what happened where you live is key, and not being afraid. I'm non-Native, and it's been a journey for me to learn how to approach people and how to assist. And I do think it's very important. One of the criticisms of colonial settlers is, always kind of this giving a handout. And that's not necessarily appropriate. Maybe you view our back to basics that way, but it's really not. We're trying to give a hand up, and we're trying to support their needs so eventually they can become sustainable. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a fine line, but it's possible. You just have to be willing to ask a question.
Yeah.
And form a relationship.
That's exactly it. And I also feel like it can be intimidating asking Native Americans. And so my advice to Native Americans is also, this is how we're going to dismantle barriers and bring healing. So just be open, hear those questions, answer those questions, and
work together.
Yeah.
What is your favorite color?
Purple.
What is something you have been proud to say you have accomplished?
Oh, that's a hard one. I kind of have to say a 50-mile endurance ride on horseback.
There you go. I think for me, it's honestly taking the leap from leaving a career. That was a big accomplishment. Yeah. It's hard to leave and change your career.
Right.
So.
What is some advice that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
You have.
I would say anybody can make a difference.
True.
And I think everybody should try. Mm-hmm. Even at a young age, I see these kids doing such wonderful things for climate change and all that. And
for me, mine's kind of silly, but I guess I wish I would have known that to learn to be more mindful of like where I put my things and stuff like that, because I lose a lot of stuff. That's all I can think of. That's what I needed to know.
If you could have 3 people, dead or alive, for dinner, who would it be?
I would have to say my maternal grandparents who have passed on. So Grandma and Grandpa Starr, and Grandma would have to cook.
Yes.
And then the other one, I kind of have to go with Dolly Parton. I mean, not only do I really like her music and her Christmas albums, but just
new one.
What she does for others. And even just donating $1 million to
the COVID
relief. Yeah. And to help mankind. I think that's huge. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I like Jen. I would choose to eat with my maternal grandmother. And you're right. That's the cooking that would have to happen. Vida. And Vida was she was a South Dakota girl. So she was quite the woman. A teacher as well. And my inspiration. The other, I think I have to look at my professional life. And honestly, I was an English teacher and a drama woman. So I have to eat with Shakespeare to pick his brain. And the thing about him is he understood humanity so well. And then the final one is maybe a little sentimental, but as a child, I always was raised to think about the decency of humanity and to be a good person. And I was scolded if I said something wrong at the table. So I recently wrote a piece about Chief Standing Bear of the Northern Ponca. And I've been intrigued with him because he was the first civil rights leader in this country, because he stood in a courtroom, the first man to stand in a courtroom, put his hand out and say, this hand is not the color of yours, but if you prick it, it will bleed the same color. I'm a man. And that's the man I'd like to sit with. All 3 of us at a table, I think we'd have a great time.
That's a good one.
4 of us, because I got to be there too.
That's a good one.
What does success for you mean right now?
Right now, I guess I would say just That's a hard one. Raising my daughter to be a kind, good person. And I guess for me, that's success.
Yeah. I have to agree. I have 3 children, and as long as they can be good human beings, as you know, I think that's important, especially in these times.
Yeah.
What is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
Okay, so one of my favorites, and I read this in my mid-20s, is Strengths-Based Leadership. I really, really enjoyed it. It's really helped me as a supervisor and building a team and how to put a good team together. And I feel at Native Hope, I have I have an incredible team, and I'm so fortunate to have them. And then, of course, there's the marketing side of what I like. And so it's How to Turn Your Words into Money by Jeff Brooks. I enjoy a lot of his stuff. So those are my 2 favorites.
It's good that we're opposite because, these are not my favorite reads, but I need to read something like that. And I'm going to go with something new. Because I taught literature, that's what I was at, a lot of fiction and drama. But now I just recently read The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, which is a Native American history from 1890 to the present. And 1890 is important because it was the Wounded Knee Massacre. And many people thought that was the end of Native Americans as they were. But David Truer, who is, by the way, a USC professor, so he's down there in California with you guys, he's an Ojibwe from Minnesota, and he writes a very compelling history that it talks about how, there's still a heartbeat there. Even though it was a massacre of people, we live on, or Native America lives on. And it's a beautiful history. Give it a try. I liked it, and it's my first actual history book that I've enjoyed. Another that I love, and it's my life's gift to many students, was this little tiny book called The Little Prince. So give that a try as well.
Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Glendale Library Arts and Culture channel.
Tune in every Friday at 4:30 for Teen G.E.N Talks. And if you would like to contact us and be part of the Teen G.E.N Talks, please email us at teengentalks@glendaleca.gov. Thank you. See you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.